morning, everybody. Please be welcome here at the Institute of Czech Literature, where we today arrange two lectures. The first one is the lecture of a colleague of mine, Tomasz Umerle, from the Institute for Literary Research in Poznań, or the institute is seated in Warsaw, but Tomek is special member from the special department called Polish Literary Bibliography, which is seated or located in Poznań. But I think it's not 100% necessary to say many words about Tomek, because most of you who is sitting here knows Tomek very well, because Tomek, as far as I have counted, is in Prague for the third time during last year, and maybe for the fifth or seventh time during last 2 or 3 years. I don't know. We stopped to count his visits because he is something like, there is a nice word in German, Stammgast, here in Prague. So, just formally, Tomek is a deputy director of Polish Literary Bibliography, and today he should present us his project, or not his, but project in which he is engaged, project called Triple. It is a Horizon 2020 project, which is coordinated by the Operas Consortium, and it's about Isidore platform and the developing of bibliographical data infrastructure. Before I will pass the word to Tomek, just formally two things. I will use this occasion also for the advertisement of lecture of Robert Peter, who is sitting also here and will be talking in the evening, not here in the upper conference hall, but downstairs in the lower conference hall. And Robert will present to us the ABUPMAT software for the statistical and analytical analysis of bibliographical and full text literary data. So that's the second presentation for today, and I would like to invite all of you to visit also the evening lecture. The last thing which I want to mention is the login and password for Wi-Fi. I hope it is readable. So if you need to connect, please the information on login or password is available here. It's UCL host. Na Florenzi 1420, basically the address of the institute. So, please enjoy Tomek's talk, and Tomek, floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello everyone. So what I'm going to do today is present the Triple project, the Operas Consortium project that we just started in the end of 2019. So I will be talking a little bit about Operas as the consortium, and soon to be, let's hope, European research infrastructure, and about the Triple project in particular. And I will also be giving some update on how the work is going right now, what we are doing, and maybe this will be of interest to you with some inside information and the opportunities to cooperate in real time with Triple project. So the Operas Consortium is an open scholarly communication consortium in the European research area for social sciences and humanities. As I said, right now it's a consortium of research institutions, but it aims to be a part of European roadmap of research infrastructures in the next run. And there are a couple of projects that Operas has started to prepare itself for this task, like Triple project or Operas P project. Operas is a distributed research infrastructure supporting open scholarly communication in SSH in the European research area. Its mission is to coordinate and federate resources across main actors in the SSH scholarly communication, and to efficiently address scholarly communication needs of European researchers. So it is directly, so its agenda is focused on scholarly communication and open science. Final aim of Operas to make open science a reality for research in the SSH, and to achieve this kind of scholarly communication system where knowledge produced in the SSH benefits researchers, academics and students fully and widely, and where it benefits the whole society across Europe and worldwide. So, right now, Operas gathers 40 organizations from 16 countries and is led by 9 member core groups, member core group, and is coordinated from France by Open Edition and Remedy. And there's the map of the organizations involved in Operas as partners. As you can see from Poland, there is our Institute of Literary Researchers, partner of this core group, and yeah, this is how it looks. This is how it looks right now. 16 countries. We're talking a little bit more about some, but in certain projects, also organizations that are not members of Operas are partnering with. So we are also working with some Czech people. Opera services up to this point are the Humorous project, certification service, and metric service, and right now being developed discovery service triple project. Those are just general information. One of the probably better known projects of Opera's consortium was, or is still, Humorous project, operated by the Directory of Open Access Books. And its aim was to provide single access point to the list of certified peer-reviewed monographs available in open access in the world. And this was one of those projects that sort of with which Operas progressed, the idea of open access peer-reviewed monographs in the humanities, as this is the general form that is quite universal in the humanities. The project that I'm involved in at the Operas Consortium, the Triple project, its aim is to develop the Triple platform, innovative multilingual and multicultural discovery solution for research discovery. It will be, or it is based on the Isidore search engine technology developed by the French National Center for Scientific Research. It has started only in the end of 2019 and it will be finished, let's go, in 2023. And final goal is to integrate the discovery solution into the EOSC marketplace. So I'm just going right now to switch to the Isidore just to take a look at how the Isidore.science platform looks like right now. Right now it aggregates data in French, basically in English, in French, and in German. As far as I know, there are 6.5 million documents right now. But there are also like Polish texts that are available through open editions and things like that. You can search through this search engine, and this, based on this engine, there will be Triple project realized. They just have a quick look, right? This is the query of the Czech literature in the simple query in this through this search engine. It's basically the aggregator of research, different kinds of research outputs provided by different actors, and as you can see, it is enriched with abstracts and enriched with some processed and aligned metadata and keywords. Discovery platform. So the Triple project was launched in October of 2019 and is financed under Horizon 2020, and it will be running for 42 months. Those are the organization partners of the Operas consortium. As you can see from Czech Republic, there's Lexical Computing that is working on this project. We are also closely cooperating with National Documentation Center from Greece, for example, and with CESDA. We're talking more about our work package. So, why Triple project, and what what is the idea behind development of the triple platform or Isidore platform. So the basic analysis is that in the SSH we have a strong fragmentation of SSH outputs, and that SSH open source resources are scattered across local repositories. And when we talk about Scholar resources, we are talking about data publications and researchers' profiles and projects. Those are the three main types of data that Triple wants to harvest. Publications, datasets, and researcher profiles, as Operas is focused on scholarly communication. And it has this ambition of connecting researchers, not only providing access to publications. So, in relation to other sciences in the SSH, we have the problem with somehow low use and reuse of SSH research, and then there's a sense that interdisciplinary collaboration possibilities are missed, and societal impact is limited. So basically, Triple tried to address those issues. The Triple project structure is quite complicated, but I will maybe have a look at from this point of view. So those are the work packages and real beneficiaries of the Triple project. We are involved mainly in the work package, the second work package that is focused on data acquisition and categorization. So the work involved in this work package involves identifying the providers of data to Triple platform, analyzing the metadata of their objects, and aligning metadata, aligning those providers' metadata. And so, for example, one of the most concrete tasks that we are now working on is choosing the common vocabulary of subject headings for the Triple service. So right now we are thinking about two vocabularies, either the Library of Congress subject headings vocabulary or the UNESCO subject headings vocabulary. And so there will be a fight probably, but we will see. The main issue right now, of course, is that all the metadata alignment has to be done automatically because of the we don't have enough resources to analyze documents. So we have, I know, 2 or 3 people dedicated to the task of metadata alignment. So this is a quite interesting topic on which basis to choose a vocabulary when you don't really know what kind of data you will be getting in the future, right? Because we don't have the final list of the providers, but we should pick the vocabulary right now. So this is a quite interesting task to be done. So one of the examples is whether one of the problems with this is, for example, does it matter how many subject headings certain subject vocabulary has? And at what points does it mean? So, for example, of course, if we have the subject vocabulary of 30 terms, this is definitely easier to map than it's 1,000, right? But if we have 500 and 1,000, does it still make a difference? So the UNESCO is around, let's say, 1,000, and Library of Congress is 1,800 subject headings. Does it still matter? Can we assess somehow when we will be dealing with certain documents whether it makes the difference? So this is an interesting case of this kind of work. Here in this task, first we are of course identifying resources, but then we are trying to find the software to work on linking the data. And I would like to call your attention to this service, which I also haven't known that it existed. It is the semantics information system for semantic vocabularies, semantics.gr. It's run by National Documentation Center in Greece, And what we will be doing is we will be importing here subject classifications from our data providers and linking them and mapping to the chosen common vocabulary. And here, what I might say is that you don't see the registration form here, only the login form, but if you want to use it or you want to try it, you can contact the National Documentation Center probably. So as far as I know, they just haven't implemented the registration form, but you can check it out. So if you're interested, please contact the National Documentation Center in Greece. It should be a very nice tool for this kind of task. And of course, we are not only doing metadata alignment, but also there is a task dedicated to automatic classification, machine learning based on text provided from different languages, and this is done by the Czech partner. So if someone is interested in it, I can contact you with this task group within our work package. But this is they are only beginning this work. But the idea is to enrich the documents harvested by Triple with the results of the analysis of texts provided. Yeah. So outside of this work package, the second work package, there are also other work packages like integration and building of Triple platform, or development, integration in innovative services, and communication and dissemination. One other task that we will be involved in is providing education and training for data providers when they are identified. So this will be another occasion maybe to meet on some kind of workshop dedicated to providers of data to Isidore or to Triple platform. So the idea behind the Isidore Triple platform is that it provides a single access point for users, researchers, institutions such as universities and libraries, enterprises, consultancies, media service providers to discover and reuse open scholarly resources, to find and connect with other researchers, to make use of innovative tools to support research, and to discover new ways of funding. Yeah, those are some architecture visualizations of the Triple Isidore platform. As you can see, this is the main idea behind the Triple project, that it will, in the SSH, be one single access point for data, so publications, datasets, profiles of researchers, and information about research projects. So you are able to look for collaboration based on through the Triple Isidore service. And in the metadata department, we are hoping for some development in the linked data department with development of common vocabularies, especially subject vocabularies. Yeah, this is the Triple architecture of Triple data database. Yeah. So the stakeholders or institutions that we are trying to reach out to are the researchers and institutions and service providers such as universities and libraries, public authorities and policymakers, enterprises and consultancies, journalists and other media representatives, and citizens. So the objectives of Triple projects, the final result that we should all achieve is for SSH research in Europe to gain visibility, to be more efficient and effective, to improve its reuse, and to increase the economic societal impact of SSH, and strengthen citizen trust towards science. So those are all big European goals. And as far as challenges, the challenges are the management of the consortium. So Right now, there are the problems right with the beginning of all the projects. So how to communicate well when there are 18 partners and 8 or 9 work packages, and how to organize the work, what kind of data, what kind of work management tools to use, how to communicate with each other. So right now we are dealing with a lot of calls, I think. So and a lot of messages through the work management systems, but it's the beginning of the work. But we are already a little bit hating the word call. It is the long project also. Long project with multiple institutions involved in different ways. Some are involved for a very short period of time or a very limited way. So it is a challenge to keep everyone involved for such a long period of time. And one of the biggest challenges is that the aim of the service is to be introduced into EOSC. But we still don't know what EOSC really is, right? Or SHOC, let's say. So it's like a situation in which we have to be in constant communication with SHOC and EOSC. One of the examples of that kind of dynamic situation is that right now SHOC is organizing this survey about vocabularies in SSH. Right now, the deadline is in April. We are right now in the middle of choosing the vocabulary for a triple platform. So the question that we don't know answer is how it is related to the triple platform, right? Whether they will provide some mappings that will be useful for us or not. How can we influence the process? Should we influence the process, right? So this is one of the examples, and this is only probably the beginning of how the SHOC and EOSC will be shaped. So I also would like to ask you to take part in this survey, because it's very important to take part in this survey about what vocabularies you are using as SSH researchers. Because as SHOC has, as I understand, limited resources, and it would be good if they dedicate them to what's important for the research community when they are building the SHOC services. The SHOC project is organizing a survey reaching out to all researchers in every discipline of SSH, starting from February 10th and ending at April the 30th. The objective of the survey: collect as much feedback as possible in order to discover which vocabularies are the most commonly used in SSH research practices, define methodology to map them, and align as far as possible with the SHOC reference ontology. So, please take part in this survey. I would like to see as much of Library of Congress subject headings mapped to all kinds of things, so I will be participating with, I don't know, 15 people from the department in this survey to create some kind of movement. So this is the uncertainty of this kind of project. Yeah. So, right now, I would like to, because this is basically the presentation of Operas as it works right now, and of the triple Isidore platform, how it is developed right now. If you have any questions, please ask or contact me. I can get you in contact also with the Czech partners that are working in this work package. I'm not that involved in their work, but I can contact you with their work, and if you want, please ask any other questions regarding the services that we are using here. I will be also analyzing this semantics software not for triple project but for other project, and they said it's okay to use it for other projects. So if someone is interested in it, also please contact me. Maybe I will be also interested if you check it out and what are your reactions to this software. And I can also share with you some presentations about this service. I find it rather interesting. Okay, so this is my talk about the operas, and triple, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about how the discovery platforms such as operas and triple relate to bibliographical data, as we'll be beginning in the afternoon the book sprint from the bibliographical data working group from Daria. So I would just like to maybe look at the discovery platforms from this perspective and have some general analysis and maybe to interest you in the works of our working group on bibliographical data. So this will be a short presentation that deals with the issue of the discovery platforms such as Isidore, Europeana, and the bibliodata ecosystem in the SSH. So discovery platform for the reason of this meeting is the service that facilitates access to certain resources based mainly on data aggregation, metadata enrichment. The most well-known of them are full text repositories, academic database indexing services. Although many of them originate from the need to organize research outputs, in SSH they also aggregate cultural heritage data, and as such they are today one of the most commonly used services for digitally enabled research in SSH. I wanted to briefly analyze how those discovery platforms relate to bibliographical data, how bibliographical data is present in discovery platforms, right? What are the issues connected to the discovery platforms presence of bibliographical data. So in our work on the landscape analysis of bibliographical data in the humanities, we came up with some preliminary classifications of the stakeholders for bibliodata, so bibliographical data. When we know that there are stakeholders like bibliographic agencies, publishers, researchers, scholars, students, research institutions, research infrastructure, all those who are interested, who are involved in bibliodata ecosystem. And we have different bibliodata services. For example, we have metadata aggregators, we have discovery platforms, library catalogs, bibliographies, print to digital, national subject bibliographies, digital libraries, quiz software, multiple bibliodata services in SSH. And we are also dealing with multiple various bibliodata datasets, right? So ILS, so integrated library systems, provide bibliographical records, authority finds, library loans metrics, they gather, although they don't provide, which is a shame. Digital libraries, they provide digital objects, metadata, like newspapers, collection metadata. Bibliographies are a kind of bibliographical data sets. Citations data sets, those are only examples of various bibliographical data sets. So, in essence, what we have is that we have for bibliodata stakeholders, we have on many occasions multiple data sets and multiple services. If you take the example of National Library, let's say, then we would have probably digital library as a service, national bibliography as a service, and library catalog as a service. And we'll have multiple datasets that they provide in different ways. So records of stored objects, bibliographical records of stored objects, authority files, and digital objects metadata. They are all in complex relationship with each other. Those are different datasets that they provide, or bibliographical information. So, and when we look at the bibliodata diversity, so types of bibliodata, so we might see three types of resources, bibliodata resources. Those are records, which are either metadata of digital objects or bibliographical descriptions, datasets, so collections of metadata, and publications, which are bibliographical works. So the question is how those types of bibliographical data look where compared to repositories resource types, right? When discovery platform, how discovery platforms can treat all those kinds of bibliographical resources. So we know that there are bibliographical records, And they basically, when introduced into discovery platforms, they can be non-autonomous records, right? They describe certain digital objects. That is the role of bibliographical data and discovery platforms. We have digital object and we have metadata of this object. When we have data sets, so collections of thousands or millions of bibliographical records, they will be introduced into discovery platform as one data set. That is indexed, but it is one item. Although it may be in direct and complex relations to other documents in the discovery platform, right? It can be 500,000 records of bibliography of theater, metadata. It will be one data set provided to this platform. And publications, semi-structured resources, that will be like dictionaries, like enumerated bibliographies. There will be, each one of them will be one publication in the discovery platform. Although, still, this is a source of metadata, and in some cases, this is metadata that relates to other objects present in the discovery platform. Right, so publications, datasets, and records of bibliodata are somehow transferred into digital objects, datasets, and other types of resources in discovery platforms. So those are just concrete examples, right? So we would have the famous bibliographical work, Bibliography of the English Printed Drama, the Restoration, and it will be a one digital object, although this is volumes of bibliographical work. This will be like 10 volumes of books in this discovery platform. When you have the metadata of the same book, it will be in discovery platform only when there is the digital object of this book. In other cases, it won't be there. And in terms of data sets, let's say British National Bibliography dataset, this is a public domain data of billions of records. It will be one item in discovery platform. Although there will be multiple objects from this bibliography present in this discovery platform, probably books, other kinds of resources. Right? Just an obvious, but something to think about how to read bibliodata is how well it is used in discovery platforms. Yeah. So when we are acquiring data, bibliographical data, to discovery platforms based on digital objects, so we have the choice to make, right? Let's say we have National Library that provides different services, and we have to choose which data from National Library we will be harvesting. We can harvest national bibliography. We will input like 6 million of records. Part of them will have full text. Most of them don't. So basically the database looks like, after some time, 40 million records, 30 million of just metadata, 10 million of some kinds of text. This would be how the discovery platform will look like. And we know from the experience and from the European projects that this is not something that research community or the creators of services are that interested in. There are even services who will, when you go there, when you start the query, they will only give you the access to the free publications, right? So they will so you will not be tired by faceting out the resources that are not in full text. And this is like the Federation of Digital Libraries in Poland does something like this, right? So your starting point is you only have the metadata with digital objects. You don't start with whole range of metadata, which is but this is some kind of interpretation of the service, right? So SSH researchers, so basically need service to access full text. So discovery platforms, discovery platform will choose digital library objects with metadata, for example, right? Because there are the objects and bibliographical metadata is connected to them. Yeah. But of course, what the discovery platforms will do very well with bibliographical data is that since there are multiple providers of data, they will have to do a lot of work on metadata alignment. So they will have to map those resources, they will have to link them, they will have to perform deduplication, disambiguation, they will have to enrich the data, and projects like Isidore and others are very good at this, that from the providers that they get, they are able to do a lot of metadata processing. But metadata processing, but based on the metadata provided and the choices made of who to, what data to acquire, right? So there is no analysis of how the data may be enriched by external resources out of the providers of digital object services. So some conclusions. This is just basic analysis. Those are obvious things, but I think that research community feels sometimes like those are the choices that we make as creators and funders of the research infrastructure services, right? So discovery platforms that focus on digital objects provide bibliographical metadata mainly in forms of descriptions attributed to digital objects, bibliodata sets, and bibliodata publications. If based on aggregation, they can further process and reach linked bibliographical data by analyzing providers' inputs and by understanding their target audience. So they understand their audience and they know what kind of work on metadata they would expect. This is very critical because sometimes data providers, they think mainly about just processing, storing data, and a little bit less about providing them and the outreach. So discovery platforms are very good at understanding, should be very good at understanding their target audience and enriching metadata from this perspective. So on the one hand, the bibliodata community should take advantage of metadata processing performed by discovery platforms. And of course, sometimes it will be impossible because if the discovery platform is commercial, we can't use really this classification and subject indexing that are performed by commercial companies, and they will not let us take advantage of the whole process of mapping and everything like that, because this is their input, this is their added value to the research publications that are represented in the repositories, right? But if we have open science platforms, then we can use all those linking processes, alignment processes in Isidore, for example, right? To take advantage of this as a bibliography, as national library, of those mappings between data providers. But there needs to be trust built between these institutions, right? So we are using the mapping of some kind of one service. How can we use it in our national library? How can we use it in our bibliography? So there has to be trust, and trust is hard. Between data curators and research discovery platforms. On the other hand, discovery platforms do not take advantage of the potential of available bibliodata to boost their knowledge discovery profile, to better connect to the researchers and provide source criticism. So, how the bibliodata can better the knowledge discovery potential? Bibliodata can be used to offer data quality tools, measuring digitization progress, scope of the coverage of certain discovery platforms by using metadata to indicate how aggregated full texts relate to non-accessible resources. So real knowledge production in certain fields. Because it's not that we don't know this. We know it, but we usually don't try to signal it through discovery platforms. Okay? Those are the full text and how they relate to what we know that is not accessible. It might be a good indicator when you are using this resource. So, why is it important for SSH researchers that they have the full view of the knowledge production? And I think this is critical for SSH researchers. So, confronting the challenges and possibilities that new digital technologies and resources bring to, this is literary history, but it pertains to humanities, and to the humanities broadly, requires a mutually informative relationship of traditional and digital scholarship. So we have to look at the research in both modes, traditional and digital, to understand the needs of the audience. If our goal is to have better engagement, so to engage more people, new people, right? Not only those who are skilled in digital humanities, but other researchers. So in research infrastructures, Catherine Bowles says it, we need objects capable of representing documentary records complexity, especially as it is manifested in new digital knowledge infrastructure. The lack of such an object, not the fundamental opposition of data and literature, is the real reason it has proven so difficult in practice in modern theory to integrate traditional and computational methods. In other words, so what we would need are the services that are a little bit similar to SSH research, when you know that source criticism, analyzing different types of accessibility, is a critical part of your work. So you're not only going, hey, I want to use free resources, but my research, yeah, with one data set, I have this problem, with the other data set, this is acceptable fully. But we are lacking in the services that give you this kind of experience and help you digitally to manage the complexity of the SSH research, which is only, as you know, only minimally digitized right now. Europeana recently gave the statistics when 10% of cultural heritage is digitized in Europe, and on those 10%, only 30% is accessible online. So we have still ways to go in digitization of digital objects. And this is Europeana research, right? Understandable. So this challenge is to find ways to combine metadata discovery and data accessibility to make research infrastructures closer to the actual research practices and workflows, which will result probably in better engagement with SSH research infrastructures. And the last points, and the finish of my presentation, is the source criticism, which is a critical part of SSH research, and I think that's something that when I talk to researchers who might be more involved in digital services but are not, is that they don't find the source criticism when accessing those kind of platforms, or they have to be really skilled to understand how to combine different services. So they usually resign somewhere before learning that there are about 5 platforms that are very different in how they present knowledge. So there is a little bit of lack of trust there. So combining different types of data allows for sources criticism. Citation indexes and other metrics provide us with digital objects-related indicators of the value of sources. But confronting accessible resources with knowledge of the real historical record, even if it is represented in a limited, reduced manner, allows for sources criticism, which is a crucial part of any SSH research. And this might be one of the outputs or one of the fields in which our working group might work, as to how to use the knowledge that we get from bibliographical data, metadata, that we understand certain subjects, certain fields of research, and can assess how it is accessible, how you should approach it, how to make it more visible in discovery platforms, in popular platforms for SSH researchers. But I think that we should have here a lot of understanding for such implementations of the SSH research from the SSH researchers, especially those who are not only working or digitized and free access materials, but that are combining in their research different types of data. Digitized, not digitized, partly digitized. Only bibliodata can help you with understanding what you're doing in a digitally enabled way. So, if someone wants to learn more about our bibliographical data working group, you can follow us on Twitter, and we'll provide you access to our working documents around this kind of topics, because we are working on the report on bibliographical data landscape in the humanities, and we will come up with some conclusions that would satisfy the research community, how to help them with bibliographical data. Thank you very much for your time, and if you have any questions, I'm open to it.
So, Tomek, thank you a lot for your lovely speech. And there's the time for you to pose a question. If anyone has, please, any question is welcome. So, Radim?
Yeah, so I'm wondering about this triple service, actually, the first part of it also. How does it sort of sit together with other services like that are more comprehensive, like Microsoft Academic Research, or the OA, what is it called, the OA core, if you're familiar with the resource.
Okay.
Which, yeah, harvests basically all open access scholarly communications as well.
Yeah, so basically the triple platform should be focused only on SSH data.
But what's the added value of that approach?
So I think that the added value is that if you provide the access to the stuff that has targeted audience of humanities researchers and science researchers, that you are able to engage them more in a service that is closer to them. It's the same question like you have the general source and the subject source, right? In some ways, that is one is the selection of the other, but still it's easier to build a community around those kind of resources, especially in SSH community. So the answer would be that it is it's easier to build community around specific source, that it will provide enriched data, enriched by machine learning and enriched by the alignment with vocabularies like the UNESCO or Library of Congress, so you have the unified subject vocabulary, and that it will basically give you the road to EOSC, as I understand, platform, right? So if you are compatible with triple project as it develops, right, then there is some guarantee, let's say, that when the EOSC is developing, the triple is developing with it. So you will be also present in EOSC and in SHOP, or in SHOP, right? So this is basically the idea behind this, right? So it's just for SSH, it's just access point for SSH research with researchers' profiles and with research projects. So it's not only free access to outputs like research publications, but it should have also the researcher profiles and the projects to allow for cooperation in the projects, as I understand. Yeah, but this is I understand the question, because the question is whether the general purpose services can provide the same, basically, right, for the researchers, right?
Yeah, I mean, where do you draw the line? Then you can say, like, we need a special resource for Scandinavian literature, you know, or...
Yeah, but there are those two, right? There are those two. We have the resources for Polish literature, we have from Czech literature, but of course, and then we try to, when you have the specific source, you try to scale up, right? So you try to have international resource, right? And this is always, then you think, how much international resource do we want to have, right? Polish, Czech, Hungarian, you want to have, and so on and so on. And then you are getting to the point when you have European thing.
I mean, like with Microsoft or the Dimensions data sets, you can get all the information as well on projects and on researchers. It's all included. I guess it's private company, so it's cooperate with them.
Yeah,
I think some communication with other projects, which might also be actually fronted by the EU, like the OA core and stuff. Yeah. There should be some deeper integration.
Yeah, this is also the part of when it is a publicly funded project, so it will be focused on accessible data, right? This is one part of it. And because this is basically around the repositories, I don't know, like open editions, right? This is the main core datasets, because those are the open resources, open science resources that should be the main resources for triple. So it will be also a tool to how to progress with open science in the European landscape, right? Yeah. That's what I can right now answer. and that's a challenge.
Sorry.
I've got a question. Well, you talked about having secured funding for about 3-4 years or so.
Yeah.
What's the sustainability of the project? What do you do?
Yeah, it is funded it is funded through 2023, and the basic idea of the Operas consortium is that this is research infrastructure as Clarin or as Daria. So then there is a question of how well it will be funded as a research infrastructure, from what I understand, or whether it can support itself from other resources. But basically the idea for Operas is a research infrastructure, not a consortium of different grants, but to be supported steadily through European research infrastructure money, or maybe we'll see, because now it's a very uncertain times, right? We are before the establishment on the new European funding scheme. So right now we don't know. For example, the time machine project, how well it will be developed, what kind of can the triple cooperate with, like time machine. Let's say it should be a big project. So right now I think that right now it is funded through 2023, and then it all depends, I think, from the research infrastructure. Results of the European research infrastructure. Yeah, but it also change. If you do something big and ambitious, then it's costly to keep it up. Right. Right now, the idea is pretty simple. So all the services that we gather data from are accessible from OAI or API. So we are not performing any other data extractions that are more complex. So it also limits the scope of data.
Okay, any other question? I will maybe post mine. I have prepared something similar as Radim, so I will slightly modify it. If you would compare the solution of Isidore platform to the other existing platform, either on the national level or in an international level, or let's say in a field-specific level, do you see some advantages or some inspirative points also at these other platforms which can be usable for Isidore?
So what I would like Triple to involve is more is to use more of the available indexing metrics. So for example, what I would love to see in Triple is some kind of, is when the can it somehow be integrated with open citations indexing, right? That would be very interesting. So the metrics that are provided by open science services, can we introduce them, because this will be the added value, right? So what I would like more to see, and also it's a follow-up on the question of how to make it different from different services that are for accessing science, is to add, not only to provide metadata alignment, because the people who use the service rarely see the work in metadata alignment. This is the problem, right? You're using the service, you don't know how much work was done there. But if you have some added value, like let's say the citation indexes from open citations, let's say, that's something new, that's something that can be interesting, that's an open resource, you can use it, you can implement it here. The same with all the bibliodata indexes, those are not costly things to do. So yeah, and there should be also in the Triple platform, there should be also annotating tools for annotation of resources and for visualization of resources. Yeah, but you will need to ask people from other work packages for that. As I understand, those are in development. But please feel free if you want to ask anything. It might be asked because this project is directly connected to that. Well, it is quite well connected to Daria also. So the chief of the, as I understand, one of the people involved on the IT side is Johan Waramil, who also works at Daria.
Okay. So any other question? maybe great space for the last one. Let's say last chance. Really no one wants to ask for anything. Okay, so in this case, Tomek, thank you very much for your lecture. Thank you all for your presence here. It was my pleasure to host you all here, and maybe see you in the evening at the Robert's lecture about Abubakar.
5:30.
5:30, but downstairs. Okay, so thanks a lot.